Radio Cayman.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. It is indeed a wonderful Wednesday. In some places, a little wet and weary, but nonetheless, it's dry on the inside as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. 949-8037 or 949-6990. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. What is on your mind? 949-8037. 949-6990. Want to hear from you. Share your thoughts with us. We can have some open line. Until we don't, well, we will. 949-6990. Hey, listen, if you're looking at today and you're recognizing that, yes, there's a lot to be thankful for. If you're also facing today and understanding that you are still feeling a bit, mournful, we understand that. With all due respect to all who want to maybe say they ascribe to being spiritual, that's great. For those who are meditating, excellent. Those who are prayerful, even better. It's a small community that's faced with many, many challenges. But there are great things that we can be thankful for. And together, if we work hand in hand, we're going to see great success. Isn't that everybody's going to be meted out equally? But it certainly means that if we are honest with ourselves, and we're truly and genuinely looking, for what they say, honest days pay for honest days work. That's all we can expect. And as I listen to some of the sentiments that are expressed by many of us, there are times where, give us an example. I had a chance to chat with someone earlier who said, it seems that in every circle he's in, the things that he sees and the things that he's hearing, being repeated by sort of his colleagues and confidants, it's primarily negative. Not that he thinks that they want to be negative, but there's a complaint, the cost of living, the challenges with getting this or doing that. And sometimes he wonders, is it that if people don't recognize how challenging many people, sort of face on a daily basis the different obstacles that are in our lives. Now, as we invite you to consider that, let's, without question, let's be positive. Let's not, bury our heads in that proverbial sand, as it were. And let's make sure that at the end of the day, we're looking at some good things. Now, I'm very, very grateful that we live in a society where, for the most part, if we choose, at the very least, we can be informed about what's happening in our legislative assembly. Radio Cayman, even though it takes a lick sometimes from some, perhaps unnecessarily so, we provide an invaluable service, allowing not only the live broadcast of the proceedings of the Legislative Assembly, but the rebroadcast. And now with the advent of television and CIG TV, increasingly more and more people are being able to at least be informed if they so choose. Now, straight out to give you a preview, 12:30. Councillor and MLA Mr. Austin Harris will join us, get a chance to chat with him about a number of things. Always a pleasure, not just to laugh, but to learn. Sometimes if we listen, we'll find that we'll become increasingly informed. Now that's slated for 12:30. thought we'll share opening minutes with you and give you a chance. What questions, if you could ask, would you ask? What comments would you make, if you so choose? Now, I recognize that there are many who see that they say something and it's ignored because of who is saying it. It happens all the time. I would notice a teacher, she shared with me again recently that there's a particular student in her class, and she was sharing that no matter the question, no matter the comment, that student always puts his hand up, and she was observing him, very much an engaged student. Another colleague had commented that he's now from her class into this new teacher's class, and he's very, very much actively engaged. But she sensed that this new teacher's perspective is that this student is sort of dominating the discussion, and for most of the school year, at least since the calendar year started after Christmas, hasn't been as engaged. And as the new teacher was talking to this former teacher, she said to her, says, why don't you re-engage the student again, not cause him to feel that he's been ignored, because if a question is asked whether he has the right answer, he's willing to volunteer a response. Now, she was sharing that because sometimes we hear the same people saying the same things, we ignore it, we presume that we know what they're going to say, we dismiss it because it's John or it's Mary or it's Peter or it's Jean that is saying it. Doesn't mean that if it's being repeated by these people over and over that it doesn't have value. Now, respectfully, hopefully John or Mary or Peter or Sue would recognize that sometimes people may not always want to hear what they have to say, but it isn't necessarily on them. Perhaps it should be on us to not be so dismissive. And if we discourage, John, Mary, or Peter, or Sue in saying their things, are we also, whether we recognize or not, discouraging, James and all the others who may want to share something, who believe that they're not as important? If John isn't being listened to, James might think about his opinion is even less valuable. And then in all, fairness to all of us, where silence will become, by definition, willing to impose this sort of sense of self-censorship. And then that loud, squeaky wheel that has little or no value, that comes with little or no credentials, may be the one that is getting all the play. Well, questions to be asked, answers to be offered. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Maybe with Miss Susan's great consent, we could take a quick break so we can get, that imposing presence of Austin Harris in the studio, see if we can find a good suitable chair for him. If not, I can go next door and see if Woody has one available, and we can bring it for him. So when we come back, please join me as we welcome to the studio MLA and Councillor Austin Harris.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks again to Ms. Susan for trying to keep us in line. It's a pleasure to welcome, if he doesn't mind me saying publicly, a good friend.
Yes.
That's okay?
Yes, absolutely. A very good friend.
But they say, colleagues in the radio business must try to remain cordial, even if they're competitive.
Well, those days are past. And always a pleasure to be in studios with you, Sterling Dwayne. I trust you had an enjoyable Easter break. I don't know if you did any camping. I don't know if that's your scene, but certainly hope you had some good family time at the very least and enjoyed some much needed rest.
Well, thank you for that. Trust the same for you as well. And I enjoy the fellowship and the camaraderie that comes with the camping.
Yes.
I guess when we used to do it, there's only very few numbers at that time, but since my uncle passed, it's not the same.
Yes. No,
I'm
sure it isn't. But, it's important to continue those important family traditions. Yeah. And, like all families, certainly mine is no different. The father was the stalwart. He was the head of the family, and he maintained the traditions that were started by his father before him. I'll admit that neither my brother and I, have done a good job of continuing many of those traditions. But there's always hope and opportunity for those to reemerge. So if I can give you some advice, which is of course more so my way of giving advice to myself, maintain those traditions because it's important to that family unit.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing. As I listen to, I reflect, and I had a very interesting conversation, and it almost seems, as the chap was sharing with me, that we seem to have this similar conversation, every time of the year, Easter.
Yeah.
And like me, he enjoyed the camping. Like me, but maybe unlike me, he's probably not as vociferous about it. The notion that Barkas, and I'm not saying Barkers, because I can't say that. Barkas. That would be Barkas.
Right.
Strictly, just how it should be. It's a wonderful place for, they want to ride the horses, they want to do the kite surfing when the weather permits. But like the licensing regime for, when businesses can open and sell alcohol or do other things, he shared one time long ago, and I've picked up on it. Why couldn't we put restrictions, say, come Good Friday? No commercial activity of the kite surfing. I don't care if it's blowing a hurricane or if it's still calm.
Yeah.
And I think that has taken away the enjoyment of it, that quiet and solitude, the respectfulness of the what it means. Not just the regatta that came on Easter Monday, but the solitude and the serenity, but the spiritual connection of a quiet on Good Friday. And sometimes you go up there, man, the kites are in the water, they're on the land. There's no peace and enjoyment. It's just fear and frustration.
Well, it's funny you mention that because, one of my constituents asked me over the Easter break if I was going to enjoy some peace and relaxation, maybe go to the beach. And I said, normally I would find peace and relaxation by going to the beach on any time of the year other than Easter weekend.
Yep.
And I say that, without any criticism because, as you know, the beaches are a popular camping spot. So if you were looking for peace and quiet, Easter weekend is not necessarily that time because there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of activity. Certainly if you're looking for an outing, whether it be with your family or to reconnect with other people, then by all means Easter weekend is a perfect opportunity for that. But certainly not the time to find peace and quiet.
And that's the beautiful part, why I stress Barkas specifically, because it was that thing that was out of the way. It was accessible at one time only by boat, and if you were very adventurous to sort of trek through what has now become I guess MRC has done a great job, so the deck roads. But I think back to the times where some of the older people, I just use my uncle as an example, but his contemporaries, who would walk that beach, who would fish, and they would get there to spend time. Now, as beautiful as it is to have that camaraderie at Easter, the public beaches were the place where more and more people congregated, and there was that festive part. Barkas was the solitude. You got away from it. It was quiet. It was enjoyable. Things change, and they can be embraced, but there's also have to be a semblance of how do we hang on to it. I was looking at a fleeting documentary of Iceland. Don't know much about it, to be honest with you. I learned a lot just watching it. And to see a very small place, a relatively small population. I mean, we're not talking millions of people.
Yeah.
And they attempt to hold on to centuries old sort of practices. Okay, they're using, wooden shields and swords as they look at their sort of, ancestry. But it's still important to be able to read from, 1100 old texts, for instance.
That's right.
That says a lot. No, don't mean you have to subscribe. It means that people that is trying to preserve and perhaps, share what they have.
We're speaking of Barkers. I'm curious to know. I mean, obviously, as
no, we speak of Barkas.
Barkas.
No, Barkas.
Barkas.
No, Barkas. Come on, I gotta help you, my friend, my Portuguese friend. I will help you.
Yes, I spent too much time in Prospect. I forget my West Bay roots.
Yeah. We gotta bring you back.
Speaking of Barkas.
Barkas. There you go.
As you talk about, it's nice to maintain traditions, but certainly, time marches on. We are constantly enhancing our various products. I wonder, what are your thoughts on some of the proposed developments as a West Bayer, having grown up in West Bay, having grown up using, that facility amongst others. I know it's a bit of a hot button topic, but you and I haven't connected as often as I would
some
otherwise
of us are elected and have a job the rest of us just work.
Listen, nobody told me this job would be this much work, so I apologize for not being able to connect as socially as we once did. But what are your thoughts on some of the discussions surrounding the enhancement, I will say, of Barkers?
For that specific area. Okay, well, let me answer that, recognizing and respectful that we're talking to the acting minister. Let's get the formal title so that as the DG listens, he can say, "Oh, you've been directed by the acting minister." Put a caveat there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Austin is just fine, but yes.
Yes.
Whilst the Premier is off island, as you know, both in London and thereafter in Monaco, I have been appointed as temporary acting Minister of Human Resources, Immigration and Community Affairs. Which basically means that my already busy schedule just got even more busy. So I appreciate the opportunity of being here and, of course, sharing with the listening audiences, in particular, the events that took place in the Legislative Assembly at its fourth sitting. And hopefully it'll be interesting to you and your listeners.
Well, I say this often, and it isn't. And I hope nobody gets the impression, oh, he's sucking up to them politicians, because you and the whole cohort. No, I respect the post as the person.
Sure.
Sucking up with something I don't do.
No man.
And the fact that we in this country have almost unfettered access to our elected members.
Yes.
Even to our senior civil servants.
Yes.
We should not abuse that, but
Correct.
we should not take it for granted, man. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. You come into the studios to talk to the audience, whether it's a television or a radio studio. That is something that is commendable and has to be championed. And I can only imagine how difficult it must be in terms of everybody has 24 hours in a day.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because more and more often, speaking of me personally,
yes, sir.
A lot of people, whether they be from Prospect or the wider Cayman Islands, often ask me, "Boy, can't I hear from you? I don't hear you on the radio anymore." And I understand, after 10 years of being on the air 5 days a week, sharing with Caymanians, how people can miss that. The simple reality is, as you've mentioned, I would love to be in these studios, yours and others, more often.
Well, you can come in a day. I can
It's
take
just so very difficult. I mean, most days I'm councillor.
Yes, sir.
Other days, like this week, I'm acting minister. The work of our coalition government is significant, and hopefully we'll be able to share some of those highlights as contained in the strategic policy statement that was delivered by the Premier at the last sitting of the House, which highlights not only the significant work that has happened in the last 2 years, but the work that's still in the pipeline to be conducted in the remaining 2 years. But I say that to say that, as I mentioned earlier, nobody talked about, particularly existing legislators when I was campaigning and volunteering for this post, the level of work that is involved. I'll be honest, I've never worked this hard in my life. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating a fact. And as a result of that restricts my appearances on talk shows significantly. But I do try to reconnect as much as possible because, well, we promise to keep the public informed.
Well, I will answer the substantive question about Barkers, without too much delay. But I'm hopeful that the people in our country, our voters specifically, as we access our parliamentarians, that we don't impose ourselves on them and we expect, hopefully this is not disrespectful, if it is, let me know,
no, man.
that we expecting to
Straight
focus
up.
on policy.
That's what you think.
That's me, right? Focus on policy. We allowing the time to be able to hold them accountable, make sure they're responsible, but don't pester and bother them for little things that we could otherwise perhaps be able to navigate ourselves. And let's say, what are we doing with respect to this policy, whether it's cost of living, housing, this, the important things that are going to benefit the country today and long term. So that, if you're spending so much time trying to shake the mango tree and you realizing, well, you're not even bearing yet, why waste the time, right?
Right.
So little things
I like your analogies. Always have.
Some people, thank you. Now, for the issue of Bacchus, I speak not just as a West Bayer, not just as a Cayman as a voter, but when we look at progress and development, when we look at opportunities that are here. Now, the environmental aspect of it, I probably can't speak to, not because I don't like labels, not only because I don't know that I have that insight into it. You excavate in 4 acres of turtle grass, will that impact? Yeah. What would that be? Yeah. Ask 2 people and you probably get 4 answers.
True.
Now, are you going to try to create 7 Mile Beach? I don't think you can do that.
Right.
You don't need to be that smart to realize that Bacchus is not 7 Mile Beach.
Right.
But can you do something with it? And if so, what? The fact that we have sold lands in such a way that we expect, I own this privately, I should be able to do this within these things, whatever these parameters are, then that should be expectation. But that needs to apply to everybody. The guy over here in plot A can't build a duplex and be told to jump through 50 hoops. The guy in plot B building the same duplex is given, carte blanche.
Yeah.
That is,
sure.
Cases don't go by favors all the time, right?
Oh, that's right.
Seems
that's
to be
right.
the case.
One rule for everybody.
Well,
As it should be.
As it should be.
Yeah,
but it isn't.
I understand.
When we look at it, the idea that we're going to be changing our landscape. There was a time long ago, a few of us have come back to the university, we thought that we should be contributing what, for the most part, was a government investment in terms of a scholarship, some sort of funding.
Yeah.
Maybe we were young and brash, maybe we were impetuous, maybe we felt that we were, was invincible, that we could do these things. And we had a conversation about what Cayman could and should look like.
Right.
Well, the older, wiser heads weren't too particular about having these young upstarts share any insight. Maybe we've missed the boat then, maybe we're missing the boat now. Maybe when we're looking at development, maybe it's not 50 stories, maybe it's 100 stories, maybe it's only 15 stories. But where is the dialogue that is meaningful? And where is it so that the perception is going to benefit John and Peter, but not Mary and Paul?
Right.
And I think that's part of the challenge. Are we looking, and again, if this becomes a political commentary, the deputy governor someone might direct and chastise me, but you can do so directly. It isn't. Politics is in our education system, is in our PTAs, is in our,
It's a part of our lives.
It's a part of our
lives. We have to accept that.
And
it goes back to your earlier statement based on the access that voters have to their politicians. So the decisions that are being made, the policies that are being designed or talked about come as a direct result of that interaction between the voter and the elected representative. So, and to your point, it is a part of our lives.
And as it should be, because every single decision that is made in this country affects every single one of us.
Quite right.
To varying degrees.
Quite right.
And I think when we look at what our country can and should be like, are we considering the safety and security, the stability, economic and social? Are we looking at what infrastructure is going to look like? Think of the households that have more than one car, and ask those households to sacrifice for one day. See if just the husband and wife, assuming that that's the case, or if it's the parent and the child, that's who shares the car. Try for one day, part of a day, to share one car, and see if they're willing, see if they're able to, because of the challenges.
Yes. Now,
sacrifices, I think you can't have success without sacrifice, right?
Right.
But, I don't know.
Well, you touch on a number of important issues that I can proudly say the government is cognizant of and is taking a hands-on approach to addressing. First of all, when we look at development, I was over the Easter weekend, as you do, you get very nostalgic. There's a Facebook page called, I think, Old Cayman, which represents photographs of what Cayman used to look like. And I'm from town, in particular Georgetown.
You're not whole against you, but
I know. But that's all right. They say my navel string is in West Bay, so I'm bridging both sections. But I remember Old by Right, Comart. I remember Kirk's Plaza. I remember, the days. Well, I don't remember, but certainly, pictures of the library. But there was no courts building across the street, only a grass piece. And as nostalgic as those days were, you look at it today and you see how Cayman has expanded, enhanced itself, progressed, modernized. And that didn't come by accident, but frankly by demand. Demand from our locals, demand from our foreign counterparts, business, tourism, and financial services, the progress that we make. Change isn't always readily accepted, but it is necessary and it is inevitable. And I just, view changes that are coming down the pipeline, Barkers, for example, infrastructure, planned area developments, new hotels, new roads, waste management systems. All of these things are part of Cayman's progress. But when you say, and I think you make a valuable point, there needs to be stakeholder engagement. There needs to continue that traditional methodology where there is a partnership between the elected representative, who are servants of the people, elected by the people to represent and act on their behalf. But in order to maintain that, there has to be that engagement between the two parties on a constant basis. So whether it be talk shows like this, or when we talk about what the development plans of the future look like, you may have heard about it. The government is engaged in a 5-year review of Plan Cayman, where we are now looking at Cayman's development in an area-by-area scenario, encouraging local participation, encouraging members of the public to share their views. I think the Plan Cayman website, since its inception, has had some 4,800 visits, followed by 350 individual submissions from members. Listen, this is the kind of feedback that I think the government needs and it welcomes. Will we be able to satisfy every single need, every single desire? No. Will we be able to please everyone all the time? Absolutely not. But we will provide a platform upon which we will say to our citizens, listen, we are moving forward. We're not moving backwards. Development will continue for reasons that drive our economy, reasons that are necessary. But it does not mean that this is happening in a vacuum. It does not mean that the government is moving forward on these initiatives without any kind of participation, but quite to the contrary. We want participation because I believe that whilst you may not agree with everything, it is important that you're kept informed as to what the plans look like so that A, you can understand it, B, you can provide your feedback, and certainly C, you can participate in the progress and quote-unquote prosperity that will follow.
And I think as as we listen to what you're sharing, and hopefully not as a people become so vitriolic sometimes in our responses. Have differences of opinion, be willing to engage, but as best as possible, be respectful and civil, even in our disagreements. When we think of the Plan Cayman sort of approach, I've gone to the website, I've put in my name, I've sent my comments. Now, how will that be perceived? Will people kind of go, this is foolishness, or one or two ideas here might be good. If we're able to do that, irrespective of who we are, maybe it'll empower more of us.
Yes.
It'll engage more of us, and maybe it'll be beneficial for as many of us as possible. As you were sharing, I was thinking two things: the whole idea of a planned area development. This notion that we're using 40 acres. Why 40? Why not 30? Why not 20? Why not? Well, if you can do something that is, for all intents and purposes, representative of a planned area development within a 1 acre site, just for argument's sake, then you can achieve that.
Yes.
I share that with the greatest of respect. Back to, 30 years or whatever, was almost an hour ago, a bunch of us are having a chat. You got economists, planners, lawyers, accountants, engineers, a bunch of these guys who are coming back from university, and we're chatting. And, we're having a conversation with, say, counterparts of planning, for instance. Most of these are civil servants, just chatting, how do we make Cayman better?
Right. Right.
And you realize two things. Through travel and education experience, people are exposed to things. But you also realize that some of us are set. We have a mindset. We're fixed in the way that we think that we do. So you can't have a 3-story residence. What do you mean 3-story personal residence? That's not a commercial building. You can't have, a standing seam roof on your, building is not commercial or not industrial. It can be commercial, but it has to be industrial. Look at where we are. 20, 30 years later. So the progress, the evolution, the advancement is good if we're thinking, talking, and engage. Now, when we look at the landmass, is the zoning or whatever the word is that we use still applicable to today? Low density residential. Should we have that? Should we be looking at it per bedroom, or should we be looking at certain things? Not to make it a dense shanty town of any nation, but how do we get a space? An idea. Okay, she's keep talking. Thank you, Miss Susan. Okay, yeah. She says, finish my thought.
Finish your thought. That could take a week.
Hey, the gentleman here has offered me a license.
I have. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's true.
I mean, you know what? No, I tell you what. When you come back, I'll conclude. If only you plug your head into what I'm hearing, boy, Susan can talk. I just kidding. No, she's not saying anything. But we need to move and do things. Maybe when we come back, we can continue. Sure. The Honourable Temporary Acting Minister can share with us what we came to talk about.
Sure.
And then, Susan, you can bring the chocolate in? Okay. Bring enough for him, too. Please.
I'm going to diet. Come on, I got to.
When we come back, we ask you to rejoin us. Stay tuned.
Thanks.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Did you know that the Department of Environmental Health operates a recycling program in the Cayman Islands? Recyclables such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin and aluminum cans, cardboard, as well as glass and ceramic items are recycled on Grand Cayman by the DH. Take these items to the recycling depots located at all Foster supermarkets, Kirk Market, and Hurley's Grand Harbor. Remember, keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, please visit DH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
It's time for the 8th annual Little Cayman Agriculture Show, Saturday, April 27 at Blossom Village Park from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Radio Cayman will be broadcasting live from Little Cayman starting at 10 a.m.
Celebrate Caymanian culture and enjoy cool sea breezes.
Agricultural displays, competitions, and entertainment by Raymond Walton. Admission is $5 for adults, $3 for children ages 4 to 11, and under 3 are free. Raffle ticket only $10. Include admission with a chance to win first prize of CI $1,000 and much, much more. Radio Cayman's broadcast of the Little Cayman Agriculture Show is brought to you by Cayman National Bank, Kirkconnell Market, Peskill, Yellow, Baha'i Faith, Billy's Supermarket, Foster's, L&M Supermarket, and the Little Cayman National Trust.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know government agreed very early on that the piers would be built on pilings in deeper water to minimize the environmental footprint? Marine life will still be able to move freely underneath them, and coral relocation remains part of the plan.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us in the studio. Excellent company of the Honourable Temporary Acting Minister, Dr. Harris. Sir, thanks again. I hopefully in my attempt to be, jovial and extending some level of enjoyment, Susan saying, behave yourself. Now, remember, be respectful.
Oh,
so
stop.
I'll try to do that.
No.
But we do have
You're
a caller.
Fine. You're fine.
Oh, can you say that? Let us say he's fine, boss. Stop it. Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for sharing with us.
Good afternoon. You've got a acting minister on there this afternoon?
Yes, sir. We have some awards to give it after too. So let's see.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, and you're talking about some subject that I think is on a lot of people's mind.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Number one, development plan. But do you Do you have any idea how many development plans over the last 45 years have gone undeveloped?
Yes. And I think that is the point I was trying to make to the host. Whilst it is important for the government, both of today as well as the governments of the past, to create an avenue for stakeholder engagement. In other words, the government's got plans to develop, I don't know, for the next 5 or 10 years, whether it be road infrastructure or hotels or high-rises or whatnot. But it must provide a platform for the general public to engage their views. But I think the problem with the development plans that have been put in place over the last 45 years is that you're not going to be able to please every single wish that participated in those development plans. And I think that is, what I think is an important factor that needs to be acknowledged. Whilst, some people may say, we shouldn't develop past 3 stories, we should perhaps be more of a cottage-style development. I know these discussions have been recommended for the eastern districts. I don't know whether or not they'll be accepted or not. But the reality is that we should not, shun the opportunity upon which the public can engage with the various governments, and provide their feedback, but also so that they can be a part of the decision-making process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but here's what has been continuously repetitive, is that the plans are developed, some of them to various degree of, you want to call it expertise.
Sure.
And sometimes nothing is done with the development plan. Then we come back with another one. We know change is going to happen. And that in itself, I think, trying to keep up with what's going on. But then I think the general public sort of gets, they're not listening to anything that anybody's saying, especially the local expertise. And, why would we participate in this plan?
Well, I would think probably one of the largest reasons why we've had a number of development plans but they haven't been followed through on is because we've also, in those number of years, witnessed a significant number of government administration changes. One administration came in with a development plan, asked for public feedback, but then 4 years later they were replaced by another government who had different views, different objectives and policy goals, and they proceeded along those paths. That's, I suspect, par for the course. I take your point in terms of, what is the point of having a development plan if it's not followed through on? But I think also what has to be recognized is that some of the nostalgic proposals, and let's face it, there are people that believe that, Cayman has developed too much. People believe Cayman should not be developing at all, but at the same token, they want us to, deal with issues such as traffic. They want to, have enhanced infrastructure so that life can be easier for them. It's a question of you can't have it both ways. So I take your point that we as a people have not necessarily done, a good enough job in the first instance encouraging stakeholder engagement, but then following through on the wishes of those people. But as I was explaining to Sterling during the break, I think these public consultations are designed for 2 purposes: A, to receive feedback, but also B, to provide the public with some degree of insight as to what the plans are from the governments, the administrations that are in office, where they see this country going, so that it's not a surprise when you see a new building going up on 7 Mile Beach, or a surprise when you see a new hotel taking place on the eastern districts, or not a surprise when you are dealing with traffic congestion, because you recognize that roads are being expanded, which will hopefully in the future alleviate some of those concerns. So I take your point that, I suppose persons may not want to participate when previous development plans have gone unfulfilled. But I just think that it's important that we recognize that development is a part of what is our economy. It is what drives much of our economy. Certainly on the employment side of things, we stop developing, we can see significant rates of unemployment, and this has happened in the past. It's not a guess here. But it doesn't mean that the public still can't be engaged in the process.
Well, case in point here, you brought traffic into this this conversation, and I guess 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I think it was in the mid 80s possibly, that there was a whole traffic study done. What the hell do they call it?
Master Ground Transportation Plan.
Yeah, and where is that lying at? Is that in the dust, or is it stored up in the industrial park somewhere? I mean, I think these are the things that the public gets a little sick of having to deal with.
Sure.
And I think and you mentioned about the changing of administrations or government. Well, that was one government that developed a master ground transportation plan. Now we got another government that's developing. So, I mean, there's significant demonstrations that a lot of the plans had commonality in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the old political disparity that's among us all just can't be overcome, and it just distorts the whole process.
Yes. Well, I can't speak for previous attempts, but what I can say with regards to things like the Master Ground Transportation Plan, which I think was instituted by Dr. the Honourable Linford Pearson when he was minister at the time, and I can state that from the NRA perspective, that plan or that proposed plan in certain parts of it are still in fact being followed today, albeit it may be called something else. But it also makes way for the changes in whether it be population growth or the infrastructure demands. Again, the Master Ground Transportation Plan itself may not have, envisioned 4 or 5 or 6 lane highways that we are quickly morphing into. So I just simply say that not every former idea has been jettisoned to be replaced by something new, but in many cases, a lot of the previous plans are simply incorporated into whatever the new direction of the day through the new administration of the day may be following. I think of, let's see, I'm trying to remember some of the names of some of the various plans that were, I can't think of them right now, but what I'm saying to you is that the contributions made by whether it be previous administrations or by members of society on issues that impact all of us are not lost on government administrations. They are, in fact, incorporated. And when I think of things such as road infrastructure, for example, I can tell you that there are reminiscences, if I may call it that, of the Master Ground Transportation Plan included in the Road Infrastructure Development Plan that the Honourable Minister of Commerce, Infrastructure and Planning are operating under right now.
But and we're still on this traffic thing, but I venture to bet if you go back and look at some of what Esther Tibbetts recommended let's see, how long ago would that be? About 65 years ago,
mm-hmm.
that you would see a lot of those things still stand up, but they have been ignored over the years by political disparity, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, respectful caller, we're the news, and if the caller can rejoin us if he so chooses, Mr. Harris, I do apologize. We got a news break.
Sure.
We'll take that. We'll come back. We'll continue the discussion. We'll take our other callers. Hey, advertising from the Sales Department works well. We got news and commercials. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Headlines. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headlines. These are the biggest stories right now.
To mark Vaccination Week in the Americas, a special immunization clinic will take place at the Public Health Department at the Cayman Islands Hospital on Saturday, April 27th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Parents are invited to bring any child in need of vaccinations, including those with missed or outstanding doses. Get in touch with the department on 244-2648 for more. In news elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump declared Wednesday that he and his administration will battle House Democrats on all legal fronts after the special counsel's Russia report refusing to cooperate with subpoenas and appealing to the Supreme Court if Congress tries to impeach him. Trump, seething as Democrats ramped up their probes after Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, said he thought after 2 years we'd be finished with it. The FBI is assisting California officials in the investigation of a motorist who appeared to deliberately plow into a group of people, injuring 8, authorities said Wednesday. A spokesman for the FBI's field office in San Francisco said the Sunnyvale Police Department is the lead agency in the investigation, but that the Bureau will become more involved, quote, if it is determined a federal crime was committed. Sunnyvale Police Captain said the driver of the car was arrested and has been identified, but that his name is not being made public to avoid compromising the investigation. He said the driver was not injured. And the train known as the Beast is once again rumbling through the night, loaded with people headed toward the U.S. border after a raid on a migrant caravan threatened to end the practice of massive highway marches through Mexico. A long freight train loaded with about 300 to 400 migrants pulled out of the southern city of Ixtepec on Tuesday. Those are your latest updates. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And in the studio, we have the excellent company of the acting temporary minister, Mr. Harris. As he reminds me, it's human resources, community affairs, and immigration.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a hefty workload. Make no mistake about it, because each carry their own significant areas of responsibility. Human resources, formerly labor, employment-related matters, immigration, which are now, of course, is immigration and border control. So we're concerned about, the services that support our working economy, but at the same token protecting our borders. And then community affairs, which is very broad-based, dealing with such issues such as the Needs Assessment Unit, Department of Children and Family Services. So yeah, it's a lot to chew on. No mistake about it.
Yeah, well, I hope you got some coconut water to wash it.
It's that and some swanky occasionally.
There you go. Callers are there. I think we rejoin Mr. Ebanks.
Yeah. I just like to just end up by saying I think one of the things that will give us some progress in the whole process is to have more political cooperation, or that there is not so much disparity in the political realm of things, because. Of course, we're not going to get away from politics, no matter where we go. What Bob Dylan said, you got to serve somebody. So I guess somebody is serving somebody.
Yes.
But I think that's where a lot of the breakdown comes. Because this one don't think that what the other one proposed was good. And
yes.
if you took all the plans, and I believe they're probably between 1965 and here. You might find that there might be 8-10 plans. And if you went through them, you would find a common thread weaving all through them. But here we are, something that we were talking about 25, 30 years ago, still talking about it.
Yes.
So what, I mean, there has to be some logic or some good Caymanian
Common sense?
Common sense, logic, and to the whole process.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Well,
thanks so much.
Mr. Loxley, I certainly take your point, and all I can say to you is that I appreciate your remarks. I think that you make a number of valid comments that cannot be ignored, and certainly identifying to this administration, the coalition government, that for whatever successes we believe we have in fact achieved, there's always a great deal more work to do. But what we are trying to do is to not take a sort of dictatorial approach, saying this is our way or the highway, it's getting done, get on board or get off the train. No, it's listen. Be a part of the conversation. Yes, it may be a regurgitation of a conversation we may have had 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago. I can't explain why that it happened the way it did. I believe one of the reasons are a change in administration, a change in policy, this disparity I think you pointed out that exists from one administration to the next. It is still something we as a people, we as elected representatives need to mature past. I think it's a work in progress. But as always, I think it's important that we have these conversations. Whether we have found workable solutions to them or not is another point. But I thank you very much for your contribution.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Harris, respectfully, we have a call that has been waiting there. Sir, we know you've been on the line. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Good afternoon. Nope? Okay. Well, sometimes maybe the oxen answer. Mr. Harris, you got to find your afternoon and spend it with us, man. We can give you a hammock.
Yeah, man.
But the Legislative Assembly, we'll talk about the recent meeting,
yes,
if we can.
Sure.
I know the Honourable Premier delivered the strategic policy statement.
Yes.
And then the budget was approved, I think.
It was.
Okay. So
yeah, well, certainly, it was a 7-day marathon session of the Legislative Assembly, a full week, which really was a great deal of work was accomplished. Of course, it started with the first 2 days, the Speaker enabling, with the support of the Premier, a sort of freedom of conscience debate on the same-sex marriage and the ruling of the Chief Justice and the subsequent appeal. I won't talk any more on that because it is still a matter of sub judice, a matter that is with the Court of Appeal, and a decision is going to be rendered in August, and we'll just wait for that to come in, and then we'll see where we go from there. But that started off, I think, a very productive session of the Legislative Assembly. We heard from the Premier in his delivery of his final strategic policy statement, which sought to outline the achievements of the coalition government over the last 2 years, whilst outlining, as I mentioned, the work that is yet to come in our remaining 2 years. We also passed a number of key pieces of legislation. We had the Bills of Exchange Bill, the Design Rights Bill, the Monetary Authorities Bill, the Builders Amendment Law Bill, which, of course, addressed a number of concerns that members of the public had, particularly those in the contracting field, which hopefully we can talk about. The Healthcare Decisions Bill, amongst other things. There were a number of private members' motions. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to talk about some of those. One of them was my own, my first private members' motion, which I'm grateful to members of the Legislative Assembly for giving it their unanimous consent, and that is to establish a committee that will seek to set standards for the importation of vehicles to address the whole traffic congestion problem. I think we have a lot of opportunity in that will complement both the work that is underway in terms of infrastructure development, new roads, expanded roads, things like the east-west arterial, which has been accelerated. I think that work of that committee will deal with the non-infrastructure related solutions. You mentioned some of them, such as carpooling, reducing yourself to one car as opposed to 5 cars per family, because that has a necessary traffic negative impact. So hopefully we can talk about some of that. But it was a very productive session in the Legislative Assembly. Of course, we also were able to outline the plans for the budget, which, of course, the first step is to outline the strategic policy statement, and then the actual budget and the various debates will take place, I think, September or October-ish time. We haven't got a fixed date for the next session, but the budget will come next, and that conversation will take place in detail. But if we look at some of the highlights of the Premier's strategic policy statement that was delivered in the Legislative Assembly, I think it's good news for our people. I mean, Cayman's economy continues to grow steadily. According to the Economic and Statistics Office, third quarter of 2018, government enjoyed an annualized growth of 3.6%. I think if you compare that against larger developed countries, we're in a very good position. We have maintained, as a government, responsible financial management. We have maintained and generated significant government surpluses. Each of our budgets have been in the black, not in the red. We have seen the reduction in government debt now standing at about $420 million. We were able to reduce that figure by $150 million under the current administration. Caymanian unemployment has plummeted, if not cut in half, from a high of, I think it was 10.5% in 2013 down to 4.6%, representing the lowest level of Caymanian unemployment in over a decade. I think that's progress. Obviously, there's still more work to be done, and certainly the ministry in which I share responsibility for, that is led by the Honourable Premier, has the goal of securing 100% Caymanian employment before the end of its term. And we've put in place a number of the mechanisms that we believe will get us there, mechanisms such as our pledge to streamline the immigration process through the establishment of work, which we'll talk about. Tourism continues to strive, again making positive gains. 2018 was another record-breaking year for the Cayman Islands. 2.4 million visitors graced our shores, with significant growth coming both from cruise, but more importantly on the stayover tourism side, which is encouraging. We've got some new hotels in the pipelines, along with luxury property developments, some of those along the 7 Mile Beach corridor, others looking a bit further east. Think of the Savannah area, as well as even further out. I think this will support and lend itself to support our future growth in stayover business. We talked about the new gateways in which Cayman Airways, as an important tourism partner in our growth, have been able to establish for us. Looking at the new Denver routes and whatnot, will continue to support growth in these areas. I think we look at the improved infrastructure development of a brand new Owen Roberts International Airport, which I think is both modern and creates the conveniences that will enable growth, which was recently opened and dedicated by the Prince of Wales during his last visit. When we think about development along the 7 Mile Beach corridor, I have to recognize the public-private partnerships that exist between DART, the NRA, and the government, specific to public beach, addressing the issue of how do we allow beach vendors and commercial activity to coexist with beachgoers, persons who are seeking that peace and tranquility of Cayman's natural resources, but at the same time enabling persons to conduct business and to have employment and have a form of income. I think we will see in the next year a vendor village, which will be designated specifically for those vendors, which will create those kiosks that have been talked about. Those plans are still very much live and ongoing, and work in that regard is continuing. Likewise, development for artisans and other beach vendors in the eastern districts, particularly in Bordentown, the Cowood Beach, are also in the works, as is, I think, a commitment and investment of up to $1 million to identify solutions to fight beach erosion in the Caibo area. All of these areas, of course, have the commonality that these are popular areas for both visitors and locals alike, and it's important that we seek to enhance those areas. New legislation that was introduced. Admittedly, we talked about, earlier on, a lack of continuity, one administration to the next. Whilst we acknowledge that this is a coalition government made up of all sides and, for all intensive purposes, achieving significant gains, we must recognize that the majority of the coalition government make up that of the previous administration. The previous administration passed such legislation, such as the intellectual property legislation, which is in fact yielding dividends for the Cayman Islands and attracting new business to Cayman. One such example is Tech Cayman, which is seeking to attract that knowledge and digital-based business that previously wasn't in the Cayman Islands. That has an economic impact, a positive economic impact. Likewise, the New trademark registrations are up. We're seeing trademark registrations in double digits. I think we were at 300 registrations per year, now up to 600 registrations per year as a direct result of that intellectual property legislation. We talked about the commitment and our pledge to create an integrated department that deals with both immigration and labor. We have achieved that in the last 2 years through the establishment of Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, which replaces the traditional immigration services that we know of. New initiatives are coming online in the coming months, which will include, as we've talked about, the online jobs clearinghouse, which will allow all jobs to be advertised through this online platform, and we believe giving Caymanians full access to the opportunities by way of jobs that are available. Likewise, Caymanians who feel that legitimate work opportunities are being denied to them, we're looking at it from two fronts to introduce two new mechanisms. One is an accreditation system which will recognize and frankly support those businesses that give Caymanians opportunities. And the second mechanism is, of course, the Fair Employment Opportunities Commission, which seeks to clamp down on those businesses that are perhaps engaging in unfair business practices, those businesses that are not providing employment opportunities for Caymanians or upward mobility opportunities for Caymanians, the proverbial glass ceiling. So this is the government fulfilling the pledges that were made 2 years ago. We have made progress on the work side, the employment side, as indicated by the rate of unemployment. I think we're seeing positive gains, but we have more work to be done, and that work is ongoing. From the standpoint of small businesses, again, I think this is important from a standpoint of Caymanian ownership. The government has taken a revitalized approach to enhancing opportunities for Caymanian small businesses and entrepreneurs, allowing great opportunity for Caymanian ownership. The coalition government, through the Honourable Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, has maintained reduced fees for small businesses, as well as cutting red tape. In 2018, 4,000 small businesses benefited from reduced fees. Looking forward, in February of this year, the Minister of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure and the government signed a memorandum of understanding with the Small Business Association. The aim is to deliver a range of support services for small businesses, workshops, mentoring services, and grants, as well as individual assistance programs to encourage Caymanians to develop their dreams and to be their own boss. We have seen benefits in that, not only to improving the employment situation, but improving the standard of living for our own people. Many of them, again, are small business operators, and we're trying to provide the resources to them so that they can feel a much greater part of the whole. Earlier on, I talked about the economic growth. We talked about the development that is taking place. The number of development projects on the books continue to break records. I think that bodes well for economic opportunities, employment opportunities, commerce opportunities, but we have to get there in a planned and sustainable way. Again, we talked about Plan Cayman, which, again, to Mr. Loxley's point, may represent yet again another development plan. Again, we have to recognize it for what it is, but certainly from the coalition government standpoint, it's a way of engaging the public, keeping them informed, but also soliciting their feedback on some of the development plans that are in the works. We're not going to please everybody, but it's a way to keep everyone involved. Again, we talked about the road expansion. We have accelerated the development plans for the East-West Arterial, which initially will take the East-West Arterial first as far as to northward, and thereafter into Bodden Town, which we believe will significantly reduce the pressures placed on traffic in the morning for those in the eastern districts. But that is, of course, combined with the successful passage of my private member's motion to set standards for vehicle imports, which the mission for that is to establish a committee, which I anticipate will be completed by the end of May, and the selection of members. And then we will start, having those conversations. We will start, particularly that might be one of the avenues that gets me back on the radio more frequently, because I think it's important to utilize talk shows such as yourselves and the other media outlets that engage the public who do some very important work in this country, and I don't diminish that importance. Hopefully we can see that participation lending itself to solving the congestion issues.
We do have some callers, and
yes.
don't want to interject, but certainly let's go. The callers have been gracious with their time. Thank you for holding on. Good afternoon, welcome. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green. Good afternoon to Emily.
Good afternoon, sir.
And Acting Minister Dawson Harris.
Good afternoon,
sir. I always knew that you were destined for other things.
Thank you, sir.
But of course, a talk radio host is very, very important. You have talk radio shows that go on all day in Canada for many, many years, and in the United States.
Yes.
It's so important.
I agree.
Very important. Before I say what I have to say, I'd just like to congratulate all our athletes in the recent Caribbean Games and the successful show put on. Earl Francis, Mr. Colin Anglin, and all the others are to be highly commended.
Yes.
And and we've got a lot of medals, I believe, in the swimming events. I think that was held in Barbados. We've always done well in swimming.
Yes. I thank you for raising that point, because certainly we want to congratulate the Minister of Sports as well. I think when we listen to some of the interviews and the feedback from the athletes and their coaches, they're calling Carifta 2019 the gold standard. And that wasn't achieved by accident, but in fact by a great deal of hard work and effort. And certainly I want to thank the Cayman fans for coming out and giving their support. Carifta 2019 was a huge success. Sorry to interrupt, sir, but I just wanted to make that point that you've made so eloquently.
Quickly before I get in a little bit on the conversation, because I was waiting for 20-odd minutes on the line.
But you disconnected and came back on too, right?
Yeah.
Sunday was Her Majesty's 93rd birthday. A lot of us may not know that, or may not remember it. I imagine His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Roper, would have sent her congratulatory messages. I imagine maybe the Premier, since he's up there, will be. I don't know, with the protocol part of it, with the official birthday being in June. But Sunday was Her Majesty's 93rd birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about developments and so forth. It's one thing that we have to get uppermost in our minds in Cayman, especially older people like myself. And we heard Mr. Banks talking about it, is that this is a very, very different Cayman. We have changed quite a bit, please. We have to understand we're one of the very few countries I can think of, particularly in the Caribbean, where the generational people are not the majority. The generational citizens are not the majority. The things we talk about when we say we would like to do, we would like to be we, I imagine, or I assume that they're saying it's the generational Caymanians who are saying this, those who have parents, grandparents, and so forth, great-grandparents. Some of us, I go back to great-great-great-grandparents. I have all the proof of that. But it's the wishes that we said when we said a development plan. Things have changed considerably. We have much, much too many vehicles, first of all, for us here in Cayman. We just can't simply be building roads and roads. We can't widen them anymore. We just have a limited amount of land.
We now officially have more cars than people.
Yes, and it's a dangerous, dangerous situation. We have to be able, courage is the operative word here, courage. And it is our MLAs who will have to exhibit that courage.
Yes.
Yes,
We're
sir.
going to have to let people understand you will not be able to do certain things anymore. You'll not be able to import any more cars except for those who are licensed to do so, and there will have to be a quota. And also, only a set amount of people, just like they did in Bermuda, and they've been following that for years. And you understand, you must abide by rules, will be able to own a car. That is imperative. We will have to do that. But as far as building more roads, trying to do things, we had a ferry system from North Side. You might be too young, both of you, to remember that. Mr. Cecil Fox, an engineer that lived and helped with the Cayman guy thing, and Mr. Fox very well. The early 70s, he had instituted a ferry system from North Side. It came in our tropical gardens. Mr. Maximon's development there. And, that helped to alleviate, and that's 45, 47 years ago. And we could reinstate that now with something else to help alleviate the traffic. We could do that. One from Newlands and so up to Newlands. It's, a lot of things could be done like that. But immediately we have to implement a very good public bus service system, and also we can cut down the amount of cars, immediately start to do that and let people know you will have to bend and abide by rules, change certain ideas. Yes, we're going to have to accept certain things. With this small island nation, we have to understand that progress is going to cost us something. There's a price to pay, and it will be hard for a lot of people to understand. And that's what has happened to us. We have developed at a lightning pace. This is what we said we wanted. And you must remember one very important thing. The health insurance problem will have to be solved. The pension problem will have to be solved because we turned it over into the hands of the private sector. So they now control it with mandatory health, mandatory pensions paid to them instead of being paid to the government as a tax. Consumption-based taxation, only I've warned of this forever. I will continue saying it. Means more is better. Enough is never good enough.
Yes, sir.
We have to consider a different way very shortly of taxing our people in a much more equal and fair way than what we are doing right now. Right now, we'll have to move towards that, and definitely we cannot think about development plans as of such as of that was done. It will no longer be relevant to today's Cayman at all. No longer relevant.
Well, thanks very much for sharing, sir, and thank you again for your extended patience.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris, the invitation to you and your colleagues are always there, but I know you have other engagements.
Certainly, I want to thank the caller for his contribution. He makes a number of excellent points. I just simply want to state that I believe that the work of the soon-to-be-formed committee to address traffic congestion, which, again, I'm grateful to members of the Legislative Assembly for embracing unanimously, will help get us to solving some of the problems that relate to traffic congestion by, engaging with the public and taking some of their ideas, just so that he can be aware. The plan, as it stands right now, is to form the committee by the end of May. To get that committee working immediately. You certainly will know the committee is working because we'll be coming on your program and others to solicit feedback. I thank the caller for some of the recommendations. I wasn't aware of the ferry system, but I think it's certainly a great idea, and I would personally, I would say that I would be more receptive to reintroducing a ferry, say, for example, from the north side into town than I would building a bridge between, over the North Sound. I'm not a fan of that, but again, I don't hold the patent on all of the ideas. It's certainly the role of the committee will be to come up with potential solutions and to make proposals to the government of what those solutions will be. The caller also mentioned the need to address the healthcare situation, particularly for the elderly. I'm happy to report that the government is looking at proposals that will see a new post-65 health insurance program introduced. We're still engaging in the conversations with the technocrats, I guess, on this. One of the things included in the discussion content is perhaps enhancing or expanding the services of Cineco, making it available to the wider public. The caller also talked about pensions. I know this is a subject that is near and dear to the heart of another familiar caller, and well, once upon a time, my friend, but I became a politician, so maybe now I'm an enemy. But Mr. Billy Adam, I take nothing away from his concerns. I think they're all legitimate. I can assure him and others, and the last caller, that the issue of pensions, it's a complex matter. It's not a quick fix by any means, but it is on the government radar, particularly this ministry's radar, and we're working towards that, and we hope to be able to have something to report in that regard relatively soon. From the aspect of mental health, we've talked about the development of a mental health facility. Whilst the government will acknowledge that we're not as far progressed in that as we thought we would be at this stage, but we're doing everything we can to make that mental health facility a reality before the end of this administration. For older persons, obviously we can say to members of the public who are our senior citizens that there will be enhanced benefits currently being discussed right now that will benefit older persons, whether it be reduced licensing, discounts at various shops and stores, groceries, things like that. That will involve some private sector partnership, but this is in fulfilling the older persons law that was introduced by the previous administration and seeking to be enhanced by the current administration. And last but certainly not least, an issue that's near and dear to my heart, certainly in my own constituency of Prospect, but it's nice to see that it's being expanded to the wider Cayman Islands, and that is an enhanced litter program, which will take a look at our current law. We believe that the fines need to be restructured. I mean, this $500 fine per person is one thing, but we need to make it a ticketable offense, that if we catch a person littering, we can issue a ticket on the spot. You have to go to court for it, and we believe that may be an incentive to do the right thing, but it will also include a significant enforcement of our existing legislation. But the one thing the government does recognize is that we have a littering problem in this country. We are not as clean as we used to be, and we're seeing that not in just pockets, but we see it spread across the island. Whilst I think the NICE programs have done some tremendous work, so much so that the government has now increased them to 2 a year. I think that work is important for two fronts. Number one, it helps us to address the unsightly state of affairs in our country by cleaning it up, but also provides work, short-term work, for our Caymanians who need it. I think it's also encouraging to note that the number of persons registering for the NICE cleanups have reduced. And I think that has come as a direct result of the improvements in unemployment. The persons who were formerly signed up on these registration programs are now gainfully employed. So that's good news. So I think there's a great deal of work still yet to come. And this administration is cognizant that, it's not a winding down, as the minister and the premier stated, but in fact a ramping up over the next 2 years. But I think we've had a successful 2 years as a government, as a country. We're positioned well. No, we haven't fixed all of the problems yet, but we're actively engaged in that, and that is part of the reason why I'm not on the radio 5 days a week anymore, because I don't have that kind of time. But we are making progress. We are fulfilling and following through on the pledges that we made. And certainly from my perspective, I'm grateful for the government that I'm a part of, because I'm going down the list of my campaign manifesto, and I'm delivering on each of those promises. So it's not just empty words. Having come from the background of talk radio, I understand the expectations that the public places on members of the government. I certainly haven't forgotten that, and I can provide assurances to the general public that the whole government team are that. They're operating as a team, a single unit, fulfilling their mandate and their promises for the benefit of the Caymanian people. So, as always, I thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to coming back on your program, hopefully to talk specifically about the efforts to address the congestion problem, the importation of cars, and some of the solutions that will be made. I want to encourage members of the public to start thinking about their recommendations. And whilst we don't always have the opportunity, I don't have the opportunity to listen to the programs over the lunchtime in the morning all of the time. And if I listen to one morning program, I can't listen to them all simultaneously. But yourself as a talk show host are in a significant position to gain sort of the consensus of the public on certain key areas, particularly to congestion and traffic, I would encourage you to keep making notes of some of the tangible solutions that come across your desk, and please pass them along, because as I stated in the LA, I do not have a patent on the good ideas, but I believe that if we work together, Caymanians with Caymanians, we can in fact come up with a workable solution to address our traffic congestion problem, and certainly something that can present solutions that can be implemented here and now. Not a promise that is waiting on delivery multiple years down the road, but we've given the commitment that we will form the committee this year and we'll make recommendations before the end of the year, with the goal of having those recommendations accepted by government and implemented by as early as next year. So hopefully we can see some relief. I think that those recommendations, combined with the road infrastructure plans that the Minister has underway, again with the expansion and extension of the East-West Arterial, will give some much-needed reprieve and relief to members of the Eastern Districts, but also my own constituents in Prospect, who oftentimes have to battle the traffic of getting out of their own driveways, let alone fighting the congestion on the major highways. As always, Sterling, I appreciate the opportunity to come into studios with you. I appreciate your comments and your feedback, but I most appreciate the jovial and really comfortable environment in which you provide for myself and my colleagues. I know you're getting ready to hear a bit more from, I think, the Celebrate Cayman team, which again I want to congratulate for doing some remarkable work. We, spent a last year celebrating our coat of arms. Now we're coming up on the anniversary of our Constitution, which I think these are areas where we as Caymanians can join together and be proud of. So I look forward to hearing what your guests in the next session have to say. I will be back on Radio Cayman, I think it's Monday next week, with your colleague in the morning, Mr. Oric Connor, engaging in a similar conversation, and I would encourage your listeners to tune in and be a part of that one as well. All right,
excellent programming. Civil servants, we're working together.
That's right.
I'm going to pause and take a break. When we come back, as Mr. Harris mentioned, we invite you to join us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
It's Radio Cayman's 43rd anniversary. And to celebrate, we're offering all clients, businesses, and nonprofits special anniversary rates on commercial advertising all through April up until Mother's Day. Increase sales, drive store traffic, and gain customers and interest by advertising on the #1 station in talk radio and news. Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. 30 or 45-second commercials are as low as $10 with 3 advertising packages to choose from. Perfectly tailored for small, medium, or large businesses. Call Anita, Kathy, or Ray at 949-7799 or email rcsales@gov.ky for your Radio Cayman 43rd anniversary sales package today.
At Flow, we know that 4 are better than 1. Introducing Flow Quad Play. Packed with the fastest, most reliable broadband, the power and control of Flow Evo TV, Cayman's best mobile experience, and tons of home phone minutes, all in one convenient package from only $199 a month. With 4 plans to choose from, you're sure to find one that fits your needs. It's value, ease, and convenience all on one bill with Cayman's #1 network. Find out why 4 are better than 1 with Flow Quad Play at discoverflow.ky. Terms and conditions apply.
Tune in Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Exclusive. Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show, the #1 drive time entertainment show on your radio, featuring Will Sinatra. Enjoy a mix of pop, hip-hop, dancehall, and soca.
The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsorship of Fitness Plus and Train with Dre.
Get top-rated personal training or build your very own home or office gym today.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know that since day one, government has insisted on strategies for the cruise
dual-use birthing facility that are both fiscally and environmentally responsible. No damage to 7 Mile Beach. No upland development. No government loans or guarantees.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Attention accounting service providers. According to the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Regulations, all firms providing accounting services, including but not limited to bookkeeping, payroll, accounts preparation, or tax advice, are required to register with the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants by May 30th. Free workshops will be provided on May 3rd, 10th, and 17th. For more information, call 749-3360. Email admin@ciipa.ky or visit ciipa.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for allowing me to not just live and love, but laugh a little as well, as we have the excellent company of Miss Marzita Borden together with, if I was in a different setting, I should have read Honorable Alfonso right, but he's just, a good fellow.
What setting would that be, Dwayne?
Now, you really want to throw me out there, huh? Listen, as I say to you all the time, Ms. Marzita, I look at Alfonso and I thought, he certainly could be my twin, but he has the height and the looks, so.
The resemblance is uncanny.
Oh, it's uncanny, man. I telling you, man. Alfonso, always a pleasure, man. I thoroughly enjoy, having you in the studio as a guest, but knowing you as a person. So it's a pleasure, so always a pleasure.
Happy to be here too.
Such excitement.
Yeah.
He keeps waiting. What is he going to do?
Boiling over.
I know. But thank you very much for having us here today.
No, man, it's amazing, and I think as Mr. Harris, as he was leaving, was sharing the idea that we're looking at Cayman, we're looking at our coat of arms and our constitution, and this endeavour, the 6 acts of service as well. As a people, if Fonzo, if I can say it that way, wouldn't mind terribly as an individual, whether through his service as a lion, but even his involvement that many people don't recognize in the community privately. Yeah, he may have his pin and say, yeah, it's a lion, but I think that ethos is within him, which is, I think, symbolic of our people who are just service-oriented.
I was going to say that, exactly that. Service-oriented is it's kind of what we are.
Yeah.
We've been looking out for each other for years. We don't do it as good as we used to.
True, sadly.
But sadly. But we came from a service-oriented community where everybody was their brother's keeper.
That sense of hospitality that we extended.
If you had something to eat, I had something to eat.
Yeah, nobody went without.
That's right.
And that is, I was thinking of that as I was thinking of the discussion, and to understand that we can do things. There was a movement way back when, you might even a movie, Pay It Forward, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that seemed to have been a thing. And I remember watching that and thinking, but I live in that community that we do that just because that's how we do it. People did things, and there was no brownie points. There was no community service hours for graduation. You weren't looking any kind of status. I can use that word in many fans. You just did it.
Yeah.
And people did it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we can all be incredibly proud of is that the Cayman Islands is absolutely a service-oriented community.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a week that goes by that there isn't some charitable event happening, some fundraiser, some way that we're pitching in and helping each other. And while the form of service might look different each time, ultimately it is about making the Cayman Islands a better place. And the Celebrate Cayman 6 Acts of Service is channeling that spirit of community that we do have here in our 3 islands. And we're calling on charities, non-profits, civic-minded organizations, individuals to be a part of the weekend. It's happening the 1st and 2nd of June of this year. And what we're aiming to have is a variety of 60 different projects that people can participate in and sign up to be a part of. Because ultimately we want the community to experience what it feels like when we all really work together to make our islands a better place. And so our sort of theme for the weekend is join in your community, transform your country. And we want people to see as well that you don't have to have $10,000. You don't have to have a network of 1,000 people to do something that can make a difference in the community. These 60 acts of service are meant to be simple. They're meant to be fun. They're meant to be low cost, falling within the 6 coat of arms inspired categories. And ultimately, we share a weekend of active citizenship and impacting our community together. So it's to help people probably start to think a bit differently about what it means like to perform an act of service, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive.
I mean, as you said, I think, Fonzo, to that adage, many hands make light work. And we think of companies that have, sort of in-service days. We think of, universities as part of their program. Students from a particular college may engage in a community initiative. As Ms. Baldwin shared, that one effort by one person compounded when, as a collection, makes a meaningful impact, and it can.
Yeah, it does, and that's why we're hoping that people will participate, because this is part of a growing global movement to change how people collaborate and interact with each other within their communities, and it's really a global movement of civic engagement and civil action, and we're wanting to bring together a really wide variety of people, residents, neighborhood, community councils, and arts and environmental organizations, charities, schools, small businesses, large businesses.
Church
it doesn't
groups.
matter exactly to have everyone involved to inspire residents and visitors who are on island that weekend to really activate some of these ideas that they might have. And while we have some guiding principles for these actions or events or installations or service projects that they're doing, we want ultimately that people can feel like their particular project, their particular act of service was inspiring and created some inspired action and connected their community. They connected with other people and created positive change even in a small way. And one of the resources that we have available to people who are interested in participating is a toolkit. And that includes lots of information. It includes a message from the team, a bit about why we're doing this, some guidance obviously on the project principles and insights, and a list of 100 or is it 101 ideas for these projects. And we have that in front, and as we go through chatting with you for the next hour or so, we can share what some of those ideas might be. But it's just to spark the thought and idea for people, because we want projects to be practical, social, to challenge us, but to still be fun, low cost and simple.
Yeah, man. And that's the idea. If you engage in that camaraderie, it's going to bring more people on board. So as a lion, I'm sure the days you're swinging hammers and digging holes and sweating, it's, I don't want to use the word back-breaking, not literally, but it's more fun and enjoyable because your fellow club members are there in the community enjoying it, and this is where you do it, right?
Well, exactly, and this is what we hoping will happen on June 1st and 2nd, that whatever we do, however we come together, whatever project we decide to participate in, that we do it with love, with fellowship, and that that people do something that they will enjoy, that it will mean something to the community, but it will also be fun and a memorable event that you can look back on later on and say, boy, that was an awesome day that we went out, and remember we did this, we went and painted that, we went and cleaned this up, we took this old lady out so she could do her shopping. Whatever it is that you decide to do, we want it to be meaningful to you, but also for those who will be on the receiving end of it as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we did lots of research into what these movements can bring about for a community and for individual people, we found something that I'll just read here. It said that after participating in initiatives similar to this around the world, the project leaders and organizations have reported that they felt reduced fear around active participation in their community, a desire to use their experience to inspire other people, more confidence in their ability to have an impact. They formed stronger networks and ties to the community. It was a challenge to cynicism, and it helped them to embrace more hope. They were able to learn new skills, positive impact on the community. They met new people. So the benefits are really endless of this. And as with anything else, I think what you put in, you'll probably get back tenfold. So we encourage people to be a part of it because it's simple and it's easy, and the platform is here to transform the community.
And recognizing it, we take ownership as we do that as well. You've part
well,
of your community.
You do, but I think it's also an opportunity for you to reach out and maybe do things with. You may work in a building, Dwayne, and you work on the 4th floor, and you take the elevator every day, and there are people that you see in the building that are not in your office. But you may say good morning or good evening, but you never really strike up a conversation. And here may be an opportunity for you to go across the hall and meet the people who work in the next office and say, this thing is going on this weekend. What if we get together? What if your company, our company, or, we get together and there may be a something that you cross every day on the way to work that kind of annoys you because it's dilapidated, it needs some painting or something like that. But you all see it every day. But here is an opportunity now for, why don't we go and take care of this road sign that's been leaning for 2 years now, and sometimes we can't even read it for the bush that's around it. These are the kind of initiatives that we want to encourage people to participate in, to reach out, not just in your comfort zone, but step out a little bit and engage other individuals that you may not have taken that opportunity to do so before.
Just sorry, Ms. Marzito. You know who's the boss, right? Susan?
Yes.
Quick break, because we got to tell our sponsors that we really value them.
Sure.
So let's take a commercial break.
We're hoping that some of them will get involved too.
They will. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
At Powerhouse Gym, where you feel like home in a multicultural energy environment for all. They are dedicated to helping you achieve your fitness goals. Whether you have decided to get in shape, train for a specific sport, boost your energy levels, or even look your best for a special day. With a variety of sports options, group fitness classes, CrossFit outdoor gym, they provide personal trainers and equipment. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center, offers a complete health and recreational environment for the only sports and recreational facility of its kind in the Cayman Islands. For more information, call 946-5464. Email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center. Serious results, period.
Keeping cool in Cayman is essential, but can be costly. Making small adjustments to your household can lead to big savings and help protect the environment. Keep your blinds, curtains, doors, and windows closed when it's hot outside. Using a fan instead of AC will use less power and can cost a mere third of air conditioning. And when using a fan, rotate it anti-clockwise, which will blow the cool air downward, saving even more energy and money. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning, and Infrastructure Facebook page for more tips on alternatives to AC and be an energy advocate.
I've got some beautiful clothes.
Puritan Cleaners Easter Special through April 24th. 17% off gents and ladies apparel on prepay orders of $20 and up. Take 10% off wedding dresses, gowns, and household items on prepay as usual. Puritan Cleaners, a center for all your dry cleaning and laundry needs, including wearing apparel. Cash in on these discounts at all 3 stores. Savannah Countryside, 946-1884, Elgin Avenue, 949-2452, and Eastern Avenue Drive-Through, rain or shine, 949 809-789-7104. The management and staff of Puritan Cleaners would like to wish everyone a safe and blessed Easter. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know the procurement process for the cruise berth facility has gone above and beyond to make sure that we get this project right? Government commissioned some of the most respected companies in the world to carry out research and scientific studies, and their expertise and findings are being used to make the best decisions possible. Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Brand Source is putting a spin on spring cleaning with 20% off all washers and dryers from GE, Samsung, LG, and Frigidaire. Take a load off by making laundry easier, quicker, and energy efficient with 20% off all washers and dryers. Save now on laundry appliances from GE, Samsung, LG, and Frigidaire. Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Call 623-5000. Sale ends this Saturday.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And in the studios, we talk about Celebrate Cayman and the 6th Acts of Service. The excellent company of Mr. Alfonso, right together with Miss Marzita Borden. And just before the break, I think that notion of what we're doing, Ms. Marzita, sorry to interject, but to interrupt you, but please,
Yeah, Alfonso before the break mentioned that sometimes you're driving through your community and you see things that you're like, this needs to get done, and you. As we're talking about this, you might have some of these ideas pop into your head and you're thinking, yeah, that needs to get done, but I can't do it alone. The idea of this is to give you the platform to share this idea or project that needs to be done, and we will help you find the people to get the project done. So if you're doing something that you say, well, you know what, I need 25 people to make this happen, that's okay. We have a page on our website, celebrateCayman.ky/60 acts. That's the number 60 acts. And it gives you lots of information about the initiative, deadlines, principles, guidelines, that sort of thing. And you can register your project. And when you register the project, you can indicate how many people you need to make that project happen. So while you can absolutely do a project that's probably just for you or you and your nuclear family or your work family, if you will, and we also ask you to indicate as well if this is a project that you need outside support for, or if you're going to have people already signed up for it. For example, if you were in an office type situation. So we can help you get the people resources to get the project done. We just need to know about it and to support you. And Celebrate Cayman provides support in lots of different ways. But while people's minds are probably turning about their projects, want to share really briefly the basic principles and some of the categories of the projects that we're looking for. So the project should inspire inclusive projects that respond to community needs and make our islands a better place to live, work and play. Should build and foster community networks, be non-partisan and non-commercial, and they should have free participation, meaning the project should be people-powered acts in which no fees or charges are to be collected, nor should a project be tied to a commercially driven activity. Those are the basic principles of it. But in terms of the categories, we are, of course, celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Coat of Arms still. And so we're using the elements of the Coat of Arms to inspire the categories for the projects. So we have the pineapple. And so those projects are public space usage and recovery. So, for example, we've received some submissions already, and someone is looking at building some benches at a local beach where they're non-existent right now. And so there we have public space usage and recovery. The turtle, which is for animal welfare related projects, so people who love to support the Humane Society and Cayman Paws and Care, those great projects and organizations would be wonderful to support. The thatch rope, so projects connected to our arts and culture. So that's everything from a open mic night for your local community to a paint party where you might, make cards for the pediatric ward, perhaps. The lion for health and wellness related projects. Waves for sustainability, which includes our environment and ocean. stars for solidarity, so that's general community engagement, and then our motto for religion and spirituality related projects. So right across the board, we've covered a range of projects that, regardless of what floats your boat, hopefully there's something there that would get you excited and want to be a part of it. So those are the broad categories. But again, all this information is on the website, celebratecayman.ky/6toacts. So I know we have the document in front of us, and we can share as well some of the ways that Celebrate Cayman will be supporting our project champions too.
Right. Well, once we come back from our news break, let's get into that some more. Remember, if you want to maybe read up while we're at the news break, celebratecayman.ky and have a look at the website. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A delegation from Bermuda checked out the daily operations of Cayman's multi-agency safeguarding hub and visited the quays, facilities, and the courts this month. Deputy Governor Honorable Franz Manderson welcomed the delegates to Government Administration Building and expressed his support for the collaboration between the Cayman Islands and Bermuda in taking a cross-island approach to child safeguarding initiatives and best practice. In news elsewhere, Sri Lanka's president shook up the country's top security establishment after officials failed to act on intelligence reports warning of possible attacks before the Easter bombings that killed over 350 people, his office said Wednesday. The capital of Colombo, meanwhile, remained rattled by reports that police were continuing to conduct controlled detonations of suspicious items 3 days after the attacks on churches and luxury hotels. And the U.S. ambassador said that Washington believes the terrorist plotting is ongoing. Imprisoned actor Bill Cosby is renewing attacks on a Pennsylvania trial judge as he again seeks bail while he appeals his sex assault conviction. Lawyers for the 81-year-old Cosby filed a bail motion Wednesday with the state of Superior Court. They complained that Montgomery County Judge Stephen O'Neill has not issued a post-trial opinion explaining key trial decisions in the 7 months since Cosby's sentencing. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks very much to both Mr. Alfonso Wright together with Ms. Marzita Borden as we look at Celebrate Cayman, and specifically the 6 acts of service, June the 1st and June the 2nd. So both days if they want, or do it over either of the days.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we scheduled it for a Saturday and a Sunday was, again, to give people the opportunity to be a part of this regardless of their life circumstances. We know that there are some people who, for personal or religious reasons, for example, may not want to participate in things on a Saturday or on a Sunday. And we also recognize that there are some projects that might take a bit longer than that usual 7 to 10 a.m. on a Saturday to make it happen. So 2 full days might be great. So we wanted to give people the opportunity to participate in the weekend regardless of what their personal circumstances were. So over the 2 days, that way you can sign up for a project that suits you, that works for you, and you can participate in the weekend.
You know, when you think about it, it's something to benefit the community, that the wider community gets involved. I like what you shared, Ms. Marzita, earlier, that results indicate as people participate, I guess buyers and borders are broken, and people become a little bit more accessible, and they can put a face and a name to certain things, and they feel safer, they feel more included. I use the word, we take ownership. Now we can walk in our communities and know, what's happening. We say, hey, I was part of that. I saw that. I helped. Also, not unlike, when you and Noah and Adam walked the earth back then, What do you think?
I was there before them.
Yeah, but they need someone to show them the way. She's thinking like, oh my, hey, of all my mother's children, Alphonse is the favorite, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, Dwayne, I want to say that as far as Celebrate Cayman is concerned, this is another I think very meaningful project. One in a long line of things that we have been doing since we started these celebrations back in May of last year. And I keep, speaking to people who, either ask us questions or give us praise for what we've done. And I've always said to everybody every chance I get that I have a wonderful team working with. I have Marzita as deputy chair, and we have Cara Cole and Krista Watler makes up the four-member team. And it truly is a pleasure working with these young ladies. And we do pack quite a punch, if I must say. They're all people who have the community at heart, who are, very solid Caymanian people with deep roots here, who have a love for country. And everybody works for a salary. Of course, we have to make a living, but we're all doing work that we probably do for free, because we enjoy it so much. And I just want to encourage everybody to look at this, look at this project that we've put forward here now. And I want to say too that this is another one of Marzita's ideas, and you can tell by her enthusiasm the way she's involved in it that she knows it inside out, back to front. But it's an idea that we all support, and I want to encourage people to take time, visit the website, see what's there, figure a way that you can get involved. If it's something that you cannot do on your own, just invite somebody else from your community or your workplace or your service club or your church group, wherever it is that you are, or whoever it is that you believe that you want to help. We encourage you to seek involvement from other people, to make a bigger impact.
As I listen, some of those ideas that you take us through is share. What about those of us who graduated from, say, primary school, maybe in your district? You can come together, and that primary school may need something. We can do it with the PTA. We don't need for the PTA alone to do it, but maybe we're, some other alumni, some other association want to make an impact. I can think of schools where the graduating class doing something for a future class. Little things.
There are many opportunities.
Yeah,
there are countless opportunities out there. We just need to apply ourselves and get ourselves organized.
I like the notion that you shared. Register the project or put it out there, and then we'll find the resources. Build it, and they'll come. Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In addition to getting involved in the 6 acts of service with a project, there's an opportunity for people who love their phones and their cameras and to capture the moment to be a citizen journalist as well. Because as you can imagine, we're hopeful that we'll have 60 projects on the go that weekend. That's a lot of coverage across the 3 islands that we need. We want people to sign up as well to be citizen journalists who will agree to capturing some photo and some video from each of the projects, so we're able to catalog and then of course share that as well. At Celebrate Cayman, we know that we're asking the community to come out and deliver these projects, but we also are making a commitment to people who are participating as well. So we're giving them the toolkit, which we've been referencing, and that's available on our website. We will promote the projects. We will promote organizations and people involved in the projects, of course, if you do not want to remain anonymous. Everyone who participate will get a unifying T-shirt in the project. So, of course, we will be out in force and look beautiful that weekend, but also you'll have that to remember the experience by, provide you with guidance and support. So our citizen journalists will have workshops you'll be able to attend. The project champions who are organizing each project will have a workshop as well. You can get information about how you can be supported. There'll be an appreciation event for everyone who participates in the weekend as well, to say thank you for helping us transform the community. So while, yes, we're asking you to come forward with your ideas, we are here to support you every step of the way and to make this an enjoyable experience for everybody, because that's what it's about.
I'll encourage you, if you mind, as you shared, Mr. Alfonso, I can hear the enthusiasm. But that's Marzito.
It's Marzito.
And that thing that we all see sometimes, on our way to work. And we're thinking, well, why don't somebody take care of that? Maybe this is the opportunity that somebody can be us some others.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And the notion that as the ideas are generated, there may be something that you never thought of. But so glad that someone did, that you can jump on board and help. There's a lot of great potential now. Presumably, all 3 islands, all the districts, everybody anywhere.
Absolutely. All 3 districts. You do not have to be resident in the Cayman Islands either. If you know that you have family and friends who are visiting that weekend, or someone who is listening right now, we have lots of people who tune in and listen to us from all around the world. If you're going to be in the Cayman Islands the 1st and 2nd of June, you can participate as well in it, because we just want people who care about the Cayman Islands, who are connected to the Cayman Islands in some way, and who are here to be a part of this, whether it's over in the sister islands or here in Grand Cayman or wherever you are, to be a part of this weekend.
And you would be amazed. Those of us who've had that experience, or have it often realize it's almost something we take for granted. But the visitors to come here, whether they're frequent visitors, they love this place. They'll contribute. They're not looking at anything in particular. They'll come out to clean up of sorts. They participate in some community project. Sometimes they just happen to stumble upon something and say, "Oh, I'm good at swinging a hammer." I've seen that a few occasions. I thought, wow, on vacation, and you take 3 or 4 hours out and come and help.
Yeah, well, carpenters take and builders take vacations too.
And they're sometimes the most valuable contributors. We had that once.
Well, while people are listening, and hopefully they're going to log on to celebrateCayman.ky/6toAxe to check the toolkit out. I think too, we have, Alfonso and I have this 101 list of ideas in front of us. Maybe we can knock some through as we go and try to do a range of them available. So you can host a dance party in your neighborhood, host a vegetarian cooking class, a handmade instrument parade through your street. Maybe your community needs a bulletin board, so maybe you might want to build that. Living statues installation, which would be really cool. If you want to do an interactive art project. Perhaps you want to teach or sing the Cayman Islands national song to a group of people. Start a free store. Very often we go and buy something that perhaps your neighbours had that you could very well use. Start a free store that, of course, supports the environment as well. Host a bicycle repair workshop.
Yeah.
How many bicycles aren't sitting around flat, need a tube, need new wires? Somebody to fix it. Host a free bicycle repair workshop there. Make sandcastles on the beach. We all love the beach.
Yeah, man.
Alfonso, any of these stand out to you as well?
Well, all of them. But, Marzita mentioned a few, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't become a little bit partial with the reason we're celebrating in the first instance is our coat of arms.
Yeah.
And I believe that here's an opportunity for, it's such a rich story, so many wonderful parts to it that, people could, have a look at that, read up on that themselves, and sort of share the story of the coat of arms with other people, children in particular. Whether you want to organize a pizza party or something, and the discussion is going to be about the coat of arms. That's a project that you can register and report. Marzita just spoke about the bicycle repair workshop. I think that would be an awesome idea. So many young people out there with bicycles but don't know how to repair them. Yeah. They weren't like us when we were growing up. We had better well know how to fix it.
But we had resources, and I was just trying to find a note here when you shared that with the bicycle repair, because that strikes a chord. Primarily, I was thinking of a university setting where some students did something likewise. Mm-hmm. All the students have bicycles on campus to get about, but how many of them are able to, properly repair, look after their bikes?
How many people know what is the correct pressure to put in a bicycle tire? It sounds simple, but how many people really know what is the correct amount of pressure to put in a tire?
And how many people know that they can look at the tire itself and it'll tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is so simple.
No, but even so, I mean, do you have the spoke wrench?
Used to.
Yeah, used to. I'm actually going, huh? But even to that, and that's just an example of look how many people are riding their bikes, as a means of primary transport. Maybe bike safety and as pedestrians, but equal as the drivers. I don't want to use that word. The way some must drive. Maybe a safety workshop to include, be a little more considerate and courteous, because in this particular arm of the neighborhood, there's a lot of cyclists exercising,
absolutely,
as well as just riding.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are a lot of parks and little communities around the place where kids may play some sort of game or something like that may be somewhat unsafe. That may be a fence that isn't properly erected or has a hole in it or something. A post is rotted away. It's things like that we want to reach out and improve.
We have the final break. You guys are more than welcome. So when we come back, we'll tell us some more.
Yes.
All right. The excited, enthusiastic Marzito Borden. And of course, the indomitable Alfonso Wright. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about. Cause they on sale this month. That'll teach her.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vant Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Did you know that government funding is available to assist with preschool education for eligible Caymanian children? If you have a child who will be between 3 to 4 years of age before September the 1st, you may be eligible for funding. To learn more about this government assistance program, email ecap@gov.ky, that's ECAP@gov.ky, or call 244-5735. Application forms can be collected from the Government Administration Building, the Department of Education Services, and all early childhood centres. Application forms are also available on the Ministry of Education's website. For more information, contact 244-5735.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we continue to talk about Celebrate Cayman. I just realized that Mr. Alfonso Wright, together with Marzito Borden, sits in the studio. I've been having this pen in my hand from the first visit that you had. It's the longest I've had a pen in my hand. And Celebrate Cayman. I just like it. It's the warm wood tone of the plastic feel, Mr. Alfonso.
It is a good-looking pen.
Yeah, put a good pen, man.
And I'm happy that you're using it. I did notice that you couldn't put it down.
No, I've had I like pens, and I usually get a simple pen. And when I got this one, I just I have it, and it's something about it. I think it connects us, and I like this idea, Ms. Marzito. I congratulate you and the team on this initiative, 60 acts of service. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, it'll be something that we all get on board, irrespective of our age or where we are from or what jobs we hold or what titles we have. This could be something that unites us, unifies us in so many ways.
Hopefully it does. And we were chatting a bit sort of off air about some of the local community things that we've seen too, things connected to the environment. On this list of 101 ideas, there's host a tree plant a container garden. You can have a zero waste workshop, build a community garden, bring an indoor activity outdoors. You can make people breakfast, decorate a space, paint a mural. So again, lots and lots of different ideas. One of the things that we were talking about earlier was with repairing the bicycle. Number 50 on this list, teach someone how to do something new. There might be people who might say, you know what, I'm not into bicycle riding. I don't even know what any of the parts are, but I'm curious about it. They might come out to something that you're doing as well. So it's, like we said earlier, it's a great opportunity to explore things that you are familiar with, but things that you might not be as well, because it's a fun, simple, laid-back environment. Have a beach party, throw a street party, write a love letter to someone, host a seed swap or a plant exchange. Again, things that build community. Take a group bike ride, host a moving night. Play a game of broken telephone, have a concert in a public space, which might be really fun. Share your love of animals with a stranger. We also have a puppy kissing booth, because I know lots of people love photos with their dogs. Maybe someone who absolutely is fantastic with their camera and is willing to host a puppy photo booth. So that'd be awesome as well. Teach someone how to cook your favorite meal. Maybe it's a meal from your home country, whether or not it's this one. Teach people how to cook it, bring that community together. Tour historic buildings in your neighborhood. Use garbage to make art, which is, we've seen a lot of that happen in our local community. People are collecting bottle caps and straws and newspaper and that sort of thing for art. Play a big game of hopscotch, which would be really fun. Do some sidewalk chalk art. Host a truth-telling story session. Lots and lots of different ideas.
Sorry.
Dwayne. Behave now.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Fonzo was like, boy.
But the idea is there's a range, singing and reading stories to the elderly. I know the people at the Pines Retirement Home always love to have guests, and I'm sure they would love for some of us to come out there and see them as well. Organize a group nature walk. We have incredible, beautiful facilities here on the island, including the Queen Elizabeth Botanic Park. There's the Woodland Trail, which along that trail you can see every type of landscape that is visible in the Cayman Islands as well in terms of the topography. Host a walk through that, organize a tour, that'd be fantastic as well. Swap clothes, do yoga on the beach. Again, lots and lots of activities, and it's all in that toolkit, which is on our website, celebrateCayman.ky/60acts.
We do have a caller joining us, Marcy DeBorden, together with Alfonso Wright, our guest. Hey, good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
For a young old fellow, I'm doing pretty good.
You sound young, indeed. Blessings upon you always, sir.
Thank you. I want to say a special hi to my brother from another mother, Mr. Alfonso.
That's right, my brother. How are you?
Well, it goes sometimes. Oh, I forgot Miss Borden. How could I forget the lady? I know she's a lot better looking than either one to you.
Good afternoon.
She's a lot better looking than all of us.
I know.
Especially Sterling.
Plus her head not ball like mine in there. Or yours. Or both of you. Imagine, I wanted to say something, but imagine the other day I was on there and Jean was saying how somebody said me and him look alike. I mean, can you believe this guy?
He tries that with everybody.
Listen, I was listening to you guys. I just started to drive and I pulled over. I didn't hear all the concepts, but I heard Mazida mention something about reading to the old people. Well, I'm the president for the Free Fairs, and we got a lot of old people up there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could inveigle some group or something to come up on the third Thursday night of every. How long is this going to last? Until June or something?
No, it's two specific dates. It's the 1st and the 2nd of June. It's a Saturday and Sunday. But nevertheless,
that's no reason to be discouraged, because one of the things that we've talked about earlier on the show and now is that we are hopeful that some of these projects and initiatives and activities that happen on the 1st and 2nd of June, they will spark things that will last well beyond that weekend. So while it might be organised for then, who knows, it could very well become a monthly or quarterly thing where a group might do that on the Thursday evenings that you all typically meet. So I wouldn't be discouraged at all if you or anyone else who's listening say, well, we normally do XYZ on a Wednesday evening. I would say encourage you to perhaps allow yourself to reach another group of people who might be able to support you by doing things on a weekend and these particular days, and then you can begin a conversation around having something that's a bit more structured later on, because the idea is to bring people from where they are a bit closer together and then see what happens afterward. But I think that's fantastic. So anyone who's listening, what they're asking for is for people to connect with, sing, read, tell stories with some of our seafarers who are an integral part of this community. And I think that's something that we shortly expect we'll hear a ping and someone will write us and say that that's what they want to do. So we appreciate you reaching out specifically and sharing this need in our community. So anyone who has a group of people who is into song and music and poetry and stories, the seafarers would love to have you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for that fantastic idea coming from you. I think I only sparked it, and then you caught the fire.
That's how these things work. Thank you too.
I know. And being smart like you and young, when you get old like me, then these things don't come so far. Dwayne, I'm gonna leave you with one. I can't say too much about Fonzo, but he's a smart fella because he follows around, or he got old now too. He used to follow me around when I was much older and he was much younger, and so he learned a lot from me. And I introduced him to a microphone and he never put it down since.
You noticed that, huh? Yeah. Well, thank you for introducing him to it.
All right, brother. You all take care.
Blessings,
thank you, Ms. Borden, for your idea, and I hope someone calls in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, D.
And I think as
916-3334, so, if anybody wants to get in touch with me. 916-3334.
Okay. As president of Seafarers, and what I want to reach out to him, Mr. Dennis. But that's the thing, Ms. Martinez. You shared the idea that this could be a project that can be continual. The community garden, for instance, the planters, there's some sort of park, the initiative to meet with the seafarers or to the pines. You could do it every month. You could do it every week. It could be a quarterly event. It doesn't have to be, once and done. And hopefully that's what it'll be, a continuing effort to, unite the community and share the love, as it were.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I mean, we would never ever expect that something like this, people come together and then nothing else happens again. The beautiful thing about this is that you never know what's going to happen when you bring together lots of different people with lots of different ideas, and the whole is usually greater than the sum of its parts. And so we wouldn't be surprised if 5 years from now there's something that's ongoing that resulted from two people who met, who had a shared interest in something, whether it was bicycles or whether it was animals or if it was backyard gardening or poetry, because that's the beauty of when a community connects, is that you have a ripple effect that continues on, sometimes beyond what we can imagine or what we can see. So we want people to, yes, keep it simple, keep it low cost, and make it easy to be done on the 1st and 2nd of June, but be open to what comes afterward, whether it's through the people that you meet, the skills that you learn, or the activity that you're a part of. Anything is really possible, and we want to show people that we can transform Cayman in a single weekend.
I think we can. I think once we can in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And
very possible, very doable.
Very, very doable. I think back to the early sentiments of us being a service-oriented community, and many of us, even in the early days of doing these acts of kindness, it was deliberate, it was by design. It wasn't a desire for any sort of recognition.
You did them every day. It wasn't as if you were doing anything special.
Yeah, it was not the order. It was just
part of life.
Yeah, man. Look at my daughter when she graduated from high school. Community service was a part of it, but the hours she had was many times over what was required. I mean, but the first year of high school, she had finished the whole year, 4 years for 15 years requirements. But that's because you're doing it, and that's so telling of our people. Why is it there?
Yeah, she probably got that spirit from her mom.
I'm sure it came. That's what I'm thinking. That's where it came from. As we close it out, please understand and accept the invitation. Always here. Well, for you too, Alfonso, but certainly to bring the team along, come and tell us.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. It's always a pleasure, and we do appreciate the importance of Radio Cayman and the role that it plays in the community. But it's been such an integral part of the Celebrate Cayman story. We're always thankful for the opportunities that we that you guys offer to us, and we'll be back.
Please do. And an excellent idea, Ms. Borden, as usual. Final thoughts, Mom?
It's really just to echo what Alfonso said, thank you very much for your continued support, and of course the wider community that's listening. We've thrown out lots of different ways and opportunities for people to get involved in these celebrations over the last 10 months or so, and we are so grateful that people have embraced it. We could tell people we're really wanting something like this to bring together the community in different ways. So we're really grateful for the support we've gotten, and we hope that people will visit our website, celebratecayman.ky, to learn more about not just Celebrate Cayman and what we're doing broadly, but the access service as well. And there's a toolkit there, there's information to participate, but we are calling all charities, non-profit, civic-minded individuals and organizations to register a fun, simple, low-cost project for the 1st and 2nd of June. And we come together as a community across our 3 islands and transform this country into the place we want to live, work, and play for that weekend, of course, and beyond that as well. But thank you very much for having us, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Both of you. Enjoy it. Continue, to do the excellent work you are, and if we can be of any value at all, any assistance, let us know. To the wider community, the 1st and 2nd of June is that opportunity for us to be a part of the 6th Acts of Service. Let's remember that this is our community.
That's right.
We work together, we work hand in hand, we make it clean, safe, stable, we make it prosperous in more ways than just the economic. We want you to join us tomorrow for Talk Today, right after the midday news and midday meditation, expecting the excellent company of Mr. Dexter Borden. You've heard him call a couple of times. He's agreed to bring his guitar. We're going to talk a lot of things, so it's going to be fun. And he's an insightful, engaging individual who we hope to be able to inspire into certain areas. So looking forward to that discussion. Appreciate him accepting the invitation. So until tomorrow, be blessed.
Of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above. We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.